First. Who will get to 10 first?
Oh my god.
Wow. Wow! Wow! Clockwork said, I want 10 first. Jessica, Commando, do this. No. Oh! Stop it just in time. Oh! Oh! Shit. Do I do it again? Oh, wow. Neo's up. Neo's up. He's stopping.
Neo gets up.
He took
Clockwork's glass and then threw it across the stage.
Playing blind now.
Playing blind. He has bad vision.
Neo worked hard to take the lead.
Took off his shirt and pants.
And he's wearing briefs that say, I own Clockwork.
Hey everybody, my name is Victor Ratliff, aka Dogface. I'm sitting here with Neo right after his first to 15 versus Clockwork. If you haven't seen it, stop, go watch it on YouTube or on iPlay Winner, see it, and then come back. And we're just sitting down for a few moments to talk about his amazing match. You know, like Stranger Zero saying, oh, maybe it will surpass the Duck Sanford views, but I don't think it's about
yeah, me neither.
the view count. Yeah, because it's like, this is the end of Marvel. I mean, people will keep playing it.
Sure.
You know, it's like the end of the money match era. It's historic because you went undefeated. And I think that, like, what better for it to be like something else golfing.
Right.
You're up.
He's a legend.
Yeah.
But
So what are you gonna do next, though?
NBC3. Yeah. Because what happened was that I was talking to Yipes in Sanford, and this is another reason why it's
Skype on the phone.
Facebook. I know, Facebook chat. And on the phone too at times. And what he was saying is like we were talking about how like I think I was talking to you about this. That there have been rumors that Japanese are they really not only taquito but also like
Daigo.
Because Daigo's so good at Guilty Gear, and I heard it's some mechanics of Guilty Gear that they're going to take over, and it's like
If there was a first to 15 Marvel 3 US Japan money match, their best versus that would be epic.
That would be epic. Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Yeah.
You heard it here. That would be epic. Because it couldn't be Daigo because he's not like cocky enough. It was like Taquito versus like Justin. First to 15. Or versus Yipes.
Yeah.
That would be.
Or three of us. Or four of us. Like
that'd be sick, dude.
Yeah. Like
and the Japanese bring like an 11-year-old or something.
Yeah.
It's like Daigo, Mago, and like Shin.
Yeah.
And like Shin, time to play. He's like cross-legged, puts like the Chinese book down.
Yeah. He's got like
he just his glasses.
Yeah, the glasses. That's what I'm saying. That go into the back, and we're like, no, but I would read that. I'd be like, yo, this guy's fucking good. Watch out. Like, oh my god.
Child prodigy. Like during the match, the child calls, and he's like, Chai ho, shai ho, hai ho, sing sai ho ha. As he do like the most hardest combo ever.
He was made in the lab just for Marvel 3.
Made in the lab.
Communist China was waiting their time.
He's part Gamer Bee, part Daigo. Part Mitsu.
He's got DNA of every player in Asia.
So what we want to do is like, we want to, first of all, we want to make sure that the United States is the best one. That we establish the Versus Series belongs to us. And then once we clearly establish that, then we can, we want to continue being on top, but at the same time, it's like, once we have that league like Marvel, which I firmly believe the United States can do, then maybe we can start this all over again. It'd be fun. Money matches again, but
and this time betting yen and stuff. Dude.
Yeah.
Crazy amounts. And they'd be like, you know, it gets so serious. Like if Taquito lost, they just start yelling at each other. And then Taquito would just chop his finger off. And then you'd be like, this is too serious. Yeah, like they take it too serious.
But you know what? We'd find a way to rationalize it because in an interview that you did with Fnatic, shout out, you said.
By the way, where is Fnatic tonight?
He couldn't be here, but
he's here in spirit.
Yeah.
Does he appear to you like Obi-Wan ghost style?
Yeah, because what we do
Fnatic, does anyone else see you?
Yeah, no, because what we do is
I'm haunting you. Shout outs.
He's always been there for my money matches, and so have I. But this time he couldn't be here, so you know, one thing that we always do is we pray before, you know, just be calm, and just take things step at a time. But one thing that I wanted to ask is that you said that money matches like create so much hype to the extent like this was at season's beatings when there was so much hype that Daigo couldn't. Like it went to the point where they were saying they were berating Daigo, that they were like, you know, harassing him. So now he wears headphones.
You see Filipino champs wearing headphones this tournament. I mean, I think I think it makes a difference. And I remember Ryan Gujex when he was doing Final Round and the big meeting before, he would take his iPod. But I mean, you're right. Daigo has the full earmuff headset.
I heard like
soon they'll be like, Daigo, you ready to play? And they'll put like the hockey helmet, the Captain Power helmet.
do you think that's like? Do you think it's disrespectful, or do you think it's just part of our culture and they're visiting us, so they must adjust to our culture?
I think that's a great question. I think there's a few things. I think one, although I've heard behind the scenes Daigo's really cocky, which is okay.
Really?
But his persona that he projects to America is very respectful. So I think that.
Why would he do that though? I'm sorry.
I think because culturally, like behind closed doors, if you were the friends, you can talk. You can talk like whatever mess you want.
Yeah,
you know. And I've heard that like with Americans that know him well enough, it's not like he's a jerk, but he's very confident. You know. But when he is on a public, on the stage, I think he decides to be just super respectful, which I think is part of their culture and part of his choice.
Right.
You know. So I think on one hand, if he was like Takedo, you know what he did to Clay TV, and like that establishes and he taunted Justin. It establishes like he says like I'll diss you right back.
Right.
Which is very different because like it makes him more of a frightening opponent. Whereas like Daigo, because he's so humble and so like or keeps himself, it makes him more of a target.
Sure.
You know, and so I think that like it's an odd byproduct of the fact that he's not turning around saying like, hey, shut the fuck up, I'm playing.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what, this noise bothers me, I'll tune it out. Which I think is understandable.
Yeah,
Especially if you don't understand the language. Can you imagine being in Japan and they're all yelling in Japan?
Yeah.
And then you lose and they sing a song.
Yeah.
For all feeling like, oh, let's go kill his family.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the big thing. I think it's a good question, but I don't think he's doing it out of disrespect. I think it seems like, because it's not really his persona, it seems like. It seems like he's probably just doing it because he's like, I'm sponsored by Magnets, I'm a global player, this is my job.
But what I'm asking is, do you think the United States is going that extra mile to try to gain what some may deem like an unfair advantage as to like get it in his head, or just back then, because now he wears headphones, so you can't really. But did you think at that time that like Americans were going too far out of their way?
I think that like every group and every culture, and you see this through the history of Street Fighter, has different accepted rules. Turtling's disrespectful, or you can't throw. No, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
I know, because I'm.
Yeah, you see.
I'm a turtle.
You know, but you see how some things are like not even soft banned, but like socially they look at it as like, oh, you did this, it's disrespectful.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that like in Japanese culture, from what I get, is they get hype and they get excited, but like you don't get the same hype you get at like final round hype. You know what I mean? Like Seasons Meetings hype. Seasons Meetings hype is like, I mean, you were there.
Oh yeah.
This was pretty hype tonight, but like Seasons Meetings like
it's the mecca
of Marvel.
Dogface school. The mecca.
Yeah, and I think that for him, if you're coming over here and you go to tournaments and people are yelling, you're like, well, what do I do? And you can't be like, can you keep it down, please? Because then you look like you're cracked. You're just like, that's right. But I think to answer your question, do I think it's an unfair advantage on American players? I think that Street Fighter is like still in our community is underground. It's getting more professional. And as it gets more professional, I think that's when people start to look at like what sports been like. We're at this transitional stage where like Street Fighter's always been like played kind of underground.
Sure.
And I think as a result, it allows the community to be underground and kind of approach things maybe not necessarily as like it's most the most appropriate PC way, but that's not Street Fighter's not that. Not yet. I mean, if it gets more more marketing, more appropriate, I could see it turning into like more like, hey, no talking match. Because when those tonight in Neo's money match versus Clockwork, at one point like 5 people went up and like at the table you were playing it and were like talking and taunting you.
Right.
And as a viewer, I thought, wow, that to me seems too far.
Right.
But to other people, it's like, no, this is a hype money match.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So then it turns into like, do people say, okay, if you're gonna play, you play on the stage far away from everyone?
Right.
Because the American resources for Street Fighter aren't really there yet.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you, why do you think there's such a big difference? Like, Marvel crowd and Marvel hype seems to have like an enormous amount of like, I don't want to say like that the community is harsh, but they can be really cutthroat. I mean, when I was losing, they were chanting Frio. Why do you think that happens in Marvel and not in Street Fighter? I mean, you mentioned that it was underground, and you mentioned that it's not as developed. But do you think there's a certain part of the game that makes people like, I don't want to say violent, but at least, automatically like, okay, we have to get this way. There's definitely a difference between like how the crowd reacts to Street Fighter and how the crowd reacts to Marvel. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think Street Fighter, traditional Street Fighter, is very much like a chess match, you know? And I think that like, and I talked to Fnatic about this, is that like in Marvel 2, you can be down, you know,
8-4.
Yeah, 8-4. You can make a different team choice. The opponent makes one mistake, it costs them the whole match. It's fast, it's high paced, it's colorful. It's got all the qualities that you want in a game to get hype about. You know what I mean? Like Street Fighter 4 is very slow paced, and you can get hype about it, but like it's very different watching two players play the spacing game versus like two players, one's calling assists, one's sending out rocks, one's jumping, one's having to block across them. It's high paced the whole time it's moving. It kind of just, you know, almost subconsciously builds up the tempo. It's like, oh my god, who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? Because I'm actually not a big Marvel player, but I know the scene to know who's good and what's exciting and what matches hype, and that makes it exciting for me. Then when you throw money in, you throw money. There's footage on YouTube of people getting hype over like coin tosses, paper lock scissors. You could say, hey man, you know, first hit, I bet me $1.
That's what I yeah, completely right. Yeah.
And when you introduce money to anything, I think it gets crazy. Because you see Street Fighter 4 get some hype when they're like, hey, we're having the salty sweet, we're playing for money. That's when it gets hype. But I think right now, you know, when Street Fighter 4 came out, you got a whole new crowd. And it's new people. And new people don't feel comfortable enough to get all crazy. Because yeah, but if you have East Coast Marvel, where they're like, hey, they've been playing for 5 years, let's say. So let's play for money. Let's play some West Coast guys for money. Let's get hype. Let's get excited. You know?
Yeah. No, you're completely right.
So I think it's just, I mean, the question will be, is if Marvel 3 can pull this off.
And okay, now I have to ask you this one question. You know how Street Fighter had like different versions? Do you think Marvel will have different versions if they figure out how to break it? We're gonna figure out how to break the game if we do it. Do you think they might actually do that for Marvel?
I hope not, because I think Ono's not producing it. You know, and I think that's not a knock against him. I just think that the approach to Street Fighter 4 has been Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4 console, Street Fighter 4 Anniversary Edition. I'm sorry, Arcade Edition, Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition, home, you know, 3DS. I mean, it's like iPhone. I mean, like they're getting the hell out of that game.
Right.
And it does kind of remind me when I was like, you know, 12, and it was like World Warrior Championship Edition, Super Turbo. Whereas I feel like Marvel, when you have a cast of 40 and the assist factor, I think it allows the chance that you think this game's broken and someone in Ohio comes up with some crazy combo and it rebalances the game. Right. You know, that I think that like they might do downloadable characters, but I hope they don't do that. Marvel 3 Arcade Edition. Marvel 3. Yeah, exactly. I think they'll keep Marvel 3 out for us. Like, I'd like to believe like at least a 5-year lifespan.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I think that would like definitely like.
The thing is though, it's not getting arcade release, so like the fact that Japan players want to get into it says a lot about their dedication, because that means they're like getting together, grinding it out somewhere.
Yeah, and I mean that's the angle that we want to work on. We want to make sure that we're the best, and then maybe we can get a rivalry between East Coast and West Coast.
Why did you want to do so good at Marvel? I mean, because it's weird, because you're so new and still in a way, like you've been around for a couple years, but it's like in the lifespan. And what's weird is when you look at the list of top Marvel 2 players, it's weird that here at the end you're like, who's this guy? Like, you're like, there's old school players that get to sit at a great spot like Eddie Lee or Genghis. You know, they feel like, you're like, these are OG players, but Clark has stayed around. You know what I mean? But then you get like, you're like, oh, who's this Neo kid? Who's like, really, in a way, you just came up recently, and to me, it's so shocking because what was it about Marvel 2 that you're like, I want to devote lifetime to this game?
Yeah, it definitely. I'm gonna be honest. You know, like I was telling you earlier, a lot of players, and I mean this in no disrespectful way, but a lot of them say, I haven't played this in a while, I haven't played this in forever. When I realized how the mechanics work for Marvel and the zoning, how did it work, it really interests me, and how fast-paced it was, like you're saying. So once I think that understanding those things made me want to really play it, and I think those are the hard difficult things to learn, because combos you can always get them down, you can always just practice and get them down, but understanding what pays, what counters what, it really got me into it. That and the money matches, when I made the decision to play Marvel, I was watching Yikes, I was watching Sanford, I was watching Justin, I was watching the West Coast.
That's cool, because it's like, I want to be a filmmaker. I'm going to watch Citizen Kane. I'm going to watch, Wizard of Oz. I'm going to watch American Beauty. I mean, you were watching top players.
Yeah, but I mean, what was really difficult about it is that I was, I was in college at the time, and studying for law school, and it was just very difficult to juggle everything. So I was very, very fortunate to meet the people that I did, put me under the right training regimens, and what I really think did it for me was when I went to Abad's training camp to train Fnatic with the Tony.
Well, that's right. Actually, I have to say that's when I first heard your name.
Yeah.
When Fnatic said he brought out Neo, and I thought. And I thought, Family Fun has good players. They had finesse, they had a love, they had MDS. And then I was kind of like, oh, who's Neo? And they were like, yeah, Neo's really good. I thought, like, I just stopped going to Family Fun. So
Yeah.
who's this new guy?
Who's this guy? Yeah. So that after watching that match, I saw that I could do it. And it's crazy. Like sometimes, like you said, you're like, you guys put all this money in the line, like thousands of dollars. That's no joke. Like you said in that interview. And it's like when I felt Fnatic's pressure in that match, I felt it too. No homo. I felt it that what he was feeling, and I was like, well, if he comes down, he's gonna win. When he was down 14-10, though, I gotta be honest, I was like, oh my god. And then the momentum he built to win the match, I felt that I could do it. So I started doing, my own money matches, and then sure enough, this one came along, and I felt like I could do it. But I'm not gonna lie, it was like 8-4.
Before Commando came in, you were just with the Cyclops. I thought, okay, like you won the first game, the crowd's going crazy, and then Clockwork won, and then it was like, oh, okay, even. And actually, even towards the end, it stayed like an even battle. But when you brought Commando, it seemed like okay, that seemed like you were comfortable with that.
Yeah. You know what actually made me make that decision?
You're Commando today, right?
Yeah, no. I started with competitively with Santhrax, and I made the decision in my mind. He can beat me. He's showing that he can beat me. He's ahead in the game. But I started with Santhrax. I'm gonna end it with Santhrax, no matter what happens. It was also like a matter of being a stylist of the match, and I felt that Commando would do better. But also it was more about the fact that Santhrax has always been really good to me, and it worked out. But I can't thank you enough for. Did you commentate? I can't thank you enough for that, and when I was watching these videos while I was training myself and coming up, a lot of influence came from really positive sources, such as yourself, contributing to the community. So I wanna thank you, and I wanna thank you for commentating my final match.
Well, honestly, man, I have to say, like, the pleasure's mine, and when you listen to the commentary, I was going for Clockwork.
Oh yeah.
But I want you to know that, like, if it wasn't for people like you stepping up and taking part and doing these things, there wouldn't be, honestly, the entertainment and for the community.
I've never seen that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've seen marble crowds, but in terms of like, what I felt it was like a really rabid sense of like hype for both sides. It's like they wanted to see me lose bad, and my side obviously wanted to see Clockwork lose really bad. And it's like,
I've never seen a crowd so out for blood that honestly every drop of blood was celebrated. It was like a hit. Oh,
yeah.
You got hit.
When he would put me in the trap and open me up, they would go nuts. But when I would touch him with Storm, they would go nuts. So
I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah, and it went from Frio to Neo to Clockwork, and amazing experience. And I'm happy.
Is the name Neo from the Matrix movies that we took from? Or?
No, it's actually the first time that I went to Evo.
Because your name is Nico on SRK.
Yeah, no, the first time that I went to Evo, after I was training for this game, I beat Justin Warren the first game, and I was extremely nervous. And then he beat me both games, to send me to losers. But after that, a lot of my friends from the West Coast told me, you're the chosen one. We're gonna call you Neo. That was a compliment, because I didn't know, where.
That's like Nas and Pena, Monoween, like they bring you out on Pride Rock and stuff.
I didn't know where this was gonna go, and I was so fortunate that the year after I got to go to Seasons Meetings and I placed, and I was really happy.
That's a big deal, dude.
The Seasons Meeting is so tough.
That's like getting Oscar nominated or something. You know what I mean? Like like Seasons Meetings it really is the Mecca of Marvel. It sets the standard.
Because everybody in the bracket is godlike. So it's like your first match is Sanford. Oh my God. And then the match after that, your next match is Changsta. Oh my God.
Now I have to ask you, two questions. And I know you're done with the past 6 matches.
Yeah.
If there was one person you could play, I'm not saying you're calling them out. I'm just saying, is there one person you're like, if I could just take one more match, who would you want to be against?
If I were to do one more match, I'd have to say it in part for fun, and in part to also test how good I guess that day, how good we would be, and to entertain the crowd would be my really, really good friend Christian.
Oh, nice, man.
Yeah, but I mean, again, when we were supposed to, my last money match at Evo, we were supposed to be for that stupid amount of money. or stupid amount of steaks or whatever. I actually went to, what they didn't know is that I actually went to NorCal and trained really, really hard for like 2 weeks with chunks like Chris Schmidt.
And that's the thing I think people discount, because when I was talking to Fnatic, he's like, they brought Neo out and we played for like a week. I mean, people think like you're just going to the arcade. No, this is like you trained for this.
Yeah.
You like said, I'm gonna take time out of my life.
Yes.
Go out of state, like you know, a boxer or a fighter, or
Yes.
and spend time to train and learn.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And when I was over there, Chris Schmidt couldn't have been a better friend, and so Chunk, because even though I was new, they never held out on me. They said, this is what you're doing wrong. You're doing this right. And this is
That's sick, dude.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I was just very fortunate to meet the people I did and to be given the opportunities I was given. And it's like when I was over there, Chris Schmidt is just so amazing. Like the angles he creates with MSP are just so interesting, and they're so hyped. That's why everybody loves him, you know. And like when there was a season's meetings and it was him and Yipes, that was just really incredible to watch. So I would say Chris Schmidt or Yipes, but I love those guys, no homo. So like, you know, and aside from other interests that we have going, I wouldn't be able to do it. Like I couldn't bring myself to. It would have to be somebody that's like, for example, like today, Clockwork is a great person. He's a really, really friendly guy. That's why everybody loves him. But at the same time, it's like our relationship is not close per se, so it allows for the money match to happen. You know, one really cool thing that I want to mention before we take off, because this is hype too, is that when it was 10-10, Clockwork and I felt something that was like, okay, it's 10-10. It's the last 5 games. We both stopped. It's not like he stopped and then I stopped. We both stopped. And he told me, yo, I need a glass of water. And he told me this, do you want a glass of water? Would you care for a glass of water? He said, I was like, yeah, I actually would. And then, you know, we both got water or whatever. And towards the end, when I felt that I was getting there and I needed water, nobody brought him water. So I drank a little bit of my water and I gave him my water. We're crazy, like we're playing.
It's like biblical.
Yeah, it's like 15, 20. You guys know
You
what?
might as well have been like, literally, do you want some bread? We'll break it right now.
Yeah, it's like you guys know what was at stake or whatever, and it's like
They're still. That's
he's
what you
offering me water. Like, how cool is that? You know?
I actually have never seen a high stakes money match. Every time I've seen a high stakes money match, it's been like the guys come out, they glare at each other, hate in their eyes.
Yeah.
Even if it's not real, it's told hate him.
Yeah.
Well, I like Joy, you Clockwork, although you played in the crowd, you guys very much were like, I respect you.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Okay. If you could watch a dream money match, high stakes, who would it be? First to 15.
Here it is. We've seen Yipes. We saw Chris Schmidt go to season's meetings, and we saw him win that tournament. Then he went back this last year, and Yipes took that. I feel that it's necessary. I feel that it's their obligation to do one more. They're tied. And you know what's interesting? I mean, they're tied. They're tied in terms of the tournament. They faced each other in 2007. Chris won. They faced each other in 2009. 2010.
Yeah, that's recent.
Yipes won. We need to have that. So
Break the tie.
yeah, and I mean, again, it's not just about the matchup. It's just the things that they do on the screen are just so amazing. Like the way that I see both players move their magnetos, it's almost as if you know how Fnatic has an one button dash, and the dash is programmed by the computer, not by your hands. So it looks more precise. Those two guys have that with that, like just watching how clear their lines are.
Like surgeons.
Yeah, exactly.
If you had got into, do you ever wish you would have gotten to Marvel sooner?
Definitely, because 2004, 5, 6, and 7 were extremely hype, especially at Evo, and there was actually like personal rivalry. So it would have been really cool to have been there, but I'm just really glad that when actually it was 2000, I was watching 2006, and I'm like, I want to be part of that. I want to have a part of this, and I know I can do it. I mean, you have to believe. I can't say I know I could do it because it's a risk. You know, when you play anybody that's good, it's a risk. But you have to believe in yourself. So when I was watching that, I was like, I want to be part of that crowd, you know, either for me or against me. And, you know, thank God that it happened. And I met so many cool, wonderful people. So I think the most important thing is your experiences. And like, I met some really, really awesome people, made some really great friendships. Some people, awesome people. And it's like, you learned a lot from, not only from, you know, training and from being in training mode and studying your opponent, you learn a lot from the people that you're surrounded by. And so I'm just very, very, very grateful. I mean, I'm having a really cool experience right now. We're having Street Fighter Finals and Dogface we're doing an interview right now.
Well, you know, I have to say, honestly, me and the community, you know, look forward to what you have in store for us in Marvel 3, and I think we'll make an excellent lawyer someday.
A lawyer, yeah. We
Fresh Kid Z, Fresh Kid C,
Yes, sir.
Fresh Kid P, Fresh Kid T.
Oh yeah, we back.
Oh, and Zafoon, by the way.
Yeah, Jones.
Yeah. Chitty Bang, and we pretty much amazing.
Can we hear your new song, please?
I got you. Hey yo, I once was a kid, all I had was a dream. More money, more problems, when I get it, I'ma pile it up. Now I'm dope, on the bread we get toast, so fresh how we flow, everybody get the style from us. I once was a kid with the other little kids, now I'm whipping up shows and them fans going wild with us. Tell mommy I'm sorry, this life is a party, I'm never growing up.
Reminisce days of the innocence. Now it's Shitty Bang, Google me the images.